Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Matt Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Before we get into the topic of discussion, I want to first mention almost 80% of you are not subscribed to this channel when you watch these. Please, I implore you and beg you, hit the subscribe. It's free on YouTube and it absolutely helps me with the YouTube algorithm so that I can get my videos out there, do more content, get more content to more people, and grow the channel. Would be remiss to say it also would be nice to get to level 3 tier in the content creator program so that I can get access to the highly sought after test servers so that I can create this content and let you know about new champions sooner and, you know, help inform those of you who like watching my videos. Also, yes, I do not have the Lemmy anymore. It was a great weekend. It was fun to have that crazy Lemmy beard, which, I mean, I don't think I look that bad in, but it's not something I'm going to wear day to day. Just isn't my style, even though it may have matched the face. But if I ever join a biker gang or I'm the lead singer of a rock band, I will definitely grow it back because I think I can crush it. So let's talk about the topic, the rant of the day, discussion of the day, whatever you want to call it. I have champion lash. I don't know how else to explain it. There are so many new champions in this game. So many champions that have been added to this game. And so many of these champions are absolutely useless. I still use, of the champions, you look at the champions here, you look at the champions I use. This is not indicative of it. But I use Foley everywhere. Foley's been in the game for over 2 years. He was buffed once upon a time. Ethos. I've been using him. He's been around forever. Sir Nick was a fusion pre-release 3 years ago, whatever it was. Very usable. I don't use him as much in the game, unfortunately, just because he's more of a jack of all trades, and now I have enough champions that I'm, building specifics in each area. The list can go on. Lydia, her toolkit is amazing. User, she is newer, but one of the few. But you keep going down here, and there's so many. Solus I use. He got buffed, which made him usable. Brogny's newer. Fusion, one of the best fusions probably of all time. No, I'm not saying the, but one of. It's arguable. Kymar's been around forever, 100% useful. We could go on and on. Tomb Lord. Tomb Lord is insane for accounts. To be able to solo farm artifacts while leveling up champions is such a pog ability. Bad Alcazar has the same ability or same potential. So you see how champions can be used. And you see the skill sets of those champions. And you understand the desirable factors that make these champions good. And yet, we still get champions like Scion. We still get champions that are just not usable within this game. Hey, Crypt King Grawl finally has a home. I actually use him in my Spider 25 team. But it was by pure miracle that this happened. He got a buff that makes him specifically useful there. But there's so many of these champions that just aren't usable. We go into here, Bistaphus, Robar, Scartorsus. Some of these are even decent champions. Black Knight, Scartorsus, decent champions, but just don't have a fit. They just don't quite fit into the current meta of the game. And I think the problem is that Plarium spends too much time looking at designing a champion and not enough about designing a champion for an area, or rebalancing a champion for an area, right? You take a look at War Chief, who they buffed, but the buff had nothing to do with the usability of the champion in the game. As a matter of fact, for my comp, it actually broke it because his 3-turn cooldown was perfect for what I was using him for. You changed it to a 2-turn cooldown, and now he's out of sync with the tune that I had happened to create, where I used HP burn to give a heal to the boss so that he could steal it. It was a great ability that is gone now. And these champions, and at what time are you going to take a look at these champions and say, look, let's forget about designing his kit and more say, where is he used? How do we envision him being used? And let's make a kit for that. This is a guy who has a 3-turn taunt and a passive that allows a 60% reflection, and yet nobody uses him. Then perhaps the real answer is that damage taken back to the attacker and the defense increase is not enough damage. It in actual use isn't strong enough. It doesn't do anything. All that War Chief is good for is for the PvE content where you put him in at level 200 and he's a pain in the ass for us to deal with. But the reality is he's not used anywhere other than Doom Tower, and for you guys using him on defensive annoyances in the Doom Tower. Whereas you could look at this and go, hey, this should be a defensive arena champion. We have him, he's a defense-based champion, but this takes damage. So why not instead we boost his HP and make him an HP-based champion, and that way people would build him for high HP and maybe use him in arena defense, for example. Just why this is not a thing for Plarium. Why Plarium can't seem to look at a balance and understand that they need to balance how they want the champion to be used, not just a kit. Pixneel's another example, right? Her balance changes are great. Her kit reads really well. The problem is, where's the content for her to be used? Arena? To counter 2 champions? Maybe a few more if you maybe include sets. Frost set isn't really a big used set, but okay, maybe. But you're countering Tormund, you're countering Ninja, Gurgo, maybe. But because that's a defensive ability, that's a counter ability, if I see Pixneel on a defensive team, I'm just not going to bring him freeze. So it's not really even usable in arena because of how your arena is set up. And this can go on. I can go on and on for champion after champion. The reality is, you need to do one of 2 things in order to properly balance and create new champions. Number 1, you need to create champions with an area in mind and elicit feedback. Elicit feedback from the people. Where are the deficiencies? Where can these champions be used? Where can they not? And number 2, you need to build content that would make use of these champions. If you have a pool of champions that aren't being used, perfect example, reflect damage is just not a viable buff. But if you had content other than situationally the Fire Knight, where reflect is absolutely a strong ability to get through an area, well then, how many champions would go from situational at best to viable at worst? And I think that's what you want to do. You wouldn't have to change the ability because you curated the content for the ability. Pixneel, I know she's very situational, but there are other ways, like Dark Elhain is an example, but there are champions that are counter freeze. And you could make a group of counter freeze champions, then curate specific content for that. The other piece of the puzzle is just looking at what people need and want to use. So often, Plarium is so concerned with trying to create new buffs and debuffs and create new standards for resistance and counter resistance. They're not looking at the basics. What champions do people want to use? And how can we make more champions with pieces of those skills, though not the same, so that there will be more situations where more champions will be used? An example is Siphi and Duchess. They, while different, have some of the similarities in them that allow them to be used for a very broad area of the game. Well, you could make other champions that way. You made Brodney. He's another one that you can use him in so many situations because of how you've developed his kit, and it is very similar to how you use Duchess's kit. Obviously, there's some major differences, but some similarities as well. It's all about sustain and survivability for all 3 of those champions. Kymar, however, there are, in my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are 3 champions that can do anything close to what he does, right? And that's Seal of Magic. He can do it, and his is a full. And then Renegade can do it, and Painkeeper has an ability similar. And there's a couple other champions I believe do single skill and stuff, but for the most part, there's this very small, out of 600 champions, there's this very small section of people that have this sort of ability. And why not 4? Why not 5? I'm not saying 20, I'm not saying 30, but you've got these. This is a wanted skill. This is a wanted skill. It doesn't matter what area of the game you're in. If you made another champion with Seal of Magic and that had some other abilities, so maybe it wouldn't be the number 1 use for like Doom Tower like Kymar is, or Arena like Kymar is, but it would be really good for this content because of the other skills he has to go with it. Another example, and this one drives me absolutely bonkers because it's one of the base abilities in the game. I didn't bring her out of the vault, sorry. This drives me nuts because I have, other people have, but a lot of people don't, and this is still such a useful skill set. Can you please explain to me why, there's Valkyrie as well, I should have used Valkyrie, but why is it that we only have 3 counterattack AoE champions in the game? I get when there was 200 champions in the game, 3 out of 200, it made it special. It made it unique. It made it important to get Valkyrie, Martyr, or Skull Crusher. That's not the case. There are over 600 champions in the game. Counterattack is not the same order of priority in clan boss as it used to be, though it is still a very essential skill for most players in this game, especially until they get unkillable comps or that sort of thing going on. And yet, at no point have you ever considered adding a 4th counterattack champion in the game. We don't have a Void counterattack champion. We don't have a Magic counterattack champion. These are things that the people want, that the people could use, and especially seeing you can do so many things. All 3 of these champions have vastly different skill sets around them that make them usable in completely different ways, though they all can be used in the same way as well for clan boss, as an example. Why can we not get this available for the masses? At least, I'm not even saying, I misspeak, not available for the masses, but more widely available in a champion set. Why not have a legendary? Instead of making Scion, who is a mishmash of skills that we may or may not need in this game, we may or may not use in this game, maybe it'll be good for Hydra, but he's got an aura that doesn't match. Why not make another champion that makes sense within the skills we want? Why not make champions in a pool of champions that are good for specific content? And why not start giving us content curated for the champions that we already have, that have good kits but just no good use within the game? That's my rant for the day. I hope that Plarium has a better thought and a better design cohesiveness going forward, so that champions, even champions that are epics, even champions that are rares, at least have some kind of understanding of where they could be used in the game to help progress forward, to help make faster runs, to do better in arena, all these different areas, and that champions don't come out that immediately upon release are absolutely useless in their impact, or that the kit is so jumbled that no matter how many times you buff them, they're just not going to be strong enough to be used anywhere within the game. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Leave them in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys sticking through the entire video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.